All right, just finished up practice. Got our preparation in for a team that I have a lot of respect for, and you know, their offense is going to be a challenge for us, and defensively, you know, do a lot of interesting things. Got to keep us on our toes. So we had a lot of work this week preparing for North Carolina. So I thought we got some good work in this week in our preparation. One more day tomorrow, and again, it's going to be a good challenge for us on Saturday. So questions.
Brian, you thought that you might know something Tuesday or Wednesday. What do you know today on Thursday of the 5?
Here's what I know. None of our 5 guys practiced. So they will obviously not be able to play this weekend. I do not have any specific information to share with you. If I did, I would probably let them share it with you. If I knew something specific, which I don't have a specific, I don't want to use verdict or announcement. I'm hearing some things, but I'm going to let them share any information that they have with you. But as it stands right now, I do not have any of those players back at practice.
Do you expect any of them back with the football team at any point this season?
I'm not certain on all of them right now. I couldn't comment on all 5. Again, and I don't have anything specific to tell you one way or the other. Some of the things that I'm getting are not firsthand information, so it's hard for me to really answer the question with 100% certainty.
Coach, have you been in touch with any of those players in the
Oh,
past
yeah.
couple days?
Oh, yeah. All of them.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess have you I know I asked you about your chance to give them some advice last week. Did you kind of get to share that this week, I guess?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're past the point of advice as much as we're, you know, really preparing them for, you know, what the next step is, whether, you know, there's reinstatement or, you know, what the sanctions may be, you know. So most of my conversations have been, you know, in preparation for that.
Is the delay in an appeals process, or?
There is an appeals process. So, you know, that's one of the things. The other may be that they know and not prepared to share the information yet, because you know, they have. Let's assume that somebody or one of the 5 has been dismissed from school. You know, they may want to talk to their families and figure out, you know, what their game plan is. So I don't know. So. You know, that could be a reason too.
But to be clear, you're not sure if there's finality with any of them? Is there finality with any of them?
I don't know that for certain. And I guess the best way for me to say it to you, to be clear, I don't have any concrete finality on any of the 5. Because the process for them, there is an appeals process for them, and they may want to exhaust all of that is in front of them relative to an appeal. So it's really up to the player, the student athlete, to really discuss it, not me. I think it's my role to inform you as to whether they're practicing, you know, whether they're on the team. I don't believe it's my role to come before you and tell you where they are in the process, you know, because they do have their own privacy rights. And if they're going through an appeals process, if they're doing that, I don't think it's my place to get into that. I think that's up to them.
Is there, to your knowledge, a range of possibilities that the 5 people would have different outcomes.
Yes.
And do you believe that's going to happen?
Yes.
Are any of them still in the building eating with the team like they were in previous weeks?
Eating?
Well, with the team.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Going to class.
Still welcome back in the building.
Absolutely. Yep.
Questions on North Carolina?
Yep.
Tari and Folston's availability?
Excellent. Had a great week. We took 4 cc's of fluid out of his quad. Made a huge difference this week.
Coach, you guys
Do you find,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I gotta jump back to this. Do you find it to be a little bit unfair that you have to come up here every day and answer these kind of questions? That you're responsible for answering these questions without being given what you need to answer these questions properly?
I don't know that there's really anything that I can be given because of it's a student athlete, right? And it's awkward. And I'm trying to do the best job I can. I know, I respect the fact that questions are asked, and I don't blame you for it. I just don't believe it's my place to interfere with the individual student if they have, in fact, been told what their fate is and haven't told me, that I'm getting involved in kind of surmising what might have happened, right? Because they're not at practice. I don't think it's fair to them. So I think that that's the place that I'm in right now, where I think we all know that we're at that point where decisions are being made or have been made, and I don't have all the answers at this point. All I know is, as the football coach, they're not practicing.
Football-related question. Speaking to a lot of defenders,
Excuse me.
Pardon me. Speaking to a lot of the defenders, defensive players about Brad Van Gorder,
Yep.
you get and they come right out and say it, but you also get the impression that part of what motivates them is that they don't want to let him down. Do you get the sense for that?
Oh, well, look, it's kind of like, if you're a defensive player and you finally get to do the things that you've always wanted to do, blitz from Jump Street and do the things that you always dreamed that you want to do as a defensive player, you certainly want to get it right. We have some really conscientious guys in Jalen Smith and, Schmidt that are just so focused on wanting to be perfect that they kind of set the tone for everybody else. And so that's kind of fostered an environment on that defensive side of the ball with so many young players that they want to get it right, and they don't want to let them down.
Brian, following up on that question, Shoemate seemed to be surprised that that safety blitz was called on the last play of the game, and he was kind of excited. He kind of looked at Van Gorder as if, are you serious? Do you ever hear a defensive call and kind of wonder, wow, is he serious?
Well, it's kind of like my style. When we coach together, we're very similar in that. And, we've watched so many drop eights and, bleed a slow death. So, Brian's background is that, he's had many of those occurrences in the NFL. And we have talked about it at great lengths where, letting the quarterback, make a big completion, So those conversations really happen before, that situation arises. What are we going to do in fourth down? We're going to go and put pressure on the quarterback, make him make a play in that situation. So it didn't surprise me at all.
Brian, you brought Brian Van Gorder in for a list of reasons, presumably. What was high on the list, and what through 5 games has kind of been hit the way you wanted it?
I knew that we were going to have a lot of young players, and that we were going to have to play a lot of young players, and really probably have a lot of situational substitution packages. And Brian's background is in that, bringing in different players on different down and distances. And we were probably going to have to be a little bit more aggressive defensively. We had laid a great foundation of fundamentally sound defense, and we needed to take it to the next step, and that was playing all of these different packages because we were going to play some young players and we were going to have to situationally play them. They couldn't play 60, 70 snaps like we were used to playing. That was his background, and that's what he was really good at. And so that was the fit. I think what has really helped us was our spring ball, our OTAs, all those things, and allowing us to really teach our defense to our young players and allowing them to come in and play early on for us in the first 6 weeks.
Brian talked earlier this week about Shoemate getting a chance, being relied on, and that really helping him to like going on and being better because he plays in games. I'm sure you have players over 25 years where that could be the case, and that has been the case. How do you balance, he's not as good in practice, he doesn't get it as much as this veteran does, with a guy that is talented that you think could take off if put in game situations?
Yeah, I think that it's what we all fight as coaches, and I think at every level. You know, when do you play? I think we talked a little bit about this at the running back. You know, the production versus potential. You know, when you turn the film on, you immediately see Elijah Shoemate's great potential and athletic ability, and then you look at Austin Collinsworth, who's in the right place all the time. I think that's the great balance. We were thrust into a position where we had to play him, and that experience has really skyrocketed him. I think if we had to do it all over again, there's a number of times where we didn't play potential and season them. So I think that in this instance, he benefited greatly by getting on the field, and now he's a better player for it.
Brian, you thought you had things in place that keep your team focused through weeks on this. As you actually went through the practices, what's your assessment of their focus for this particular game?
Well, we have a unique blend on this team of players that have a large number of these players have been through a 12-0 season where they had to play every week, and an Oklahoma and then coming back the next week, or playing a Stanford and coming back the next week. So we have a lot of players that understand that, and then we have a bunch of freshmen that don't know. They just play. They just want to get to Saturday. So we've got a great balance in that respect. Then they're so doggone busy. They don't have time to think about anything else. They get up in the morning, they're over here at 7 a.m. to weight train, then they go to class all day, then they come back for dinner and study table, and then they go back. They are so consumed the whole day. It's hard to really be distracted. So as long as we keep our routine the same, and as long as my message doesn't stay the same, it's like any other week. Then we just got to play well and execute well. And if we do that, we'll be fine.
Does Everett and his demeanor play into that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the quarterback is central to this, absolutely central to this. And how he practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is huge to our success and our development as a football team.
Ryan, do you feel like you've established a run game identity yet, or is that something that's still a little bit under development?
No, I think we have. We feel very comfortable where, what we've been able to do from an offensive standpoint with our run game. We're not a run first, smash mouth, this is what, we're going to run the ball down your throat, but we definitely use it to set up our play action passes. I think we've been very effective with our play action down the field. Everett has hit 2 or 3 big plays down the field in the last couple of weeks. I think it's been an effective tool for us, and I think it's been an area that we want to continue to get better at as we've moved our offensive line around a little bit. But I don't look at it saying it's a weakness of our offense at all. Statistics are such that people look at. Florida State's the #1 team in the country, and they're below us, you know, in terms of stats and rush offense, and they're doing just fine. They haven't lost a game in 2 years. So I think it's how you use it, right? We use it to set up some play action pass. We use it in short yardage situations. We think we can run and set up some things. So I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Coach, just to clarify something you brought up earlier on the 5, when you say that there could be varied outcomes for that, could one of those outcomes include possibly getting football taken away for the rest of the season, but still being able to attend classes here at Notre Dame, still being able to be a student? Is that part of from your understanding?
You know, before we got into this, a number of things were thrown out to me, and that was one of them. But I have not heard directly over the last few days that would be one of the outcomes. You know, I think the honor code, if you read the honor code, you know, which I'm sure some in this room have read, you know, you're talking about if it is an offense or a flagrant offense, you're talking about separation from the university next semester or immediate separation from the university. I think that seems to be the conventional wisdom.
Anything else?
If there was positive news to report, those guys would have been back at practice, all right? I mean, it seems like if the decision came and it was positive and you're cleared to play, they would be back. So are we just waiting on the appeal process now?
I mean, again, I think that for me, it wouldn't be fair for me to, without knowing, to comment on that kind of logic. You know, it would make sense, but I don't know. I really don't know. So what I've tried to do is provide as much information to you folks, but I know really this: they're not practicing. They're not out on the field. So that would tell me one thing, and that's how I'm operating. But I really think it's in the hands of the student athlete now, you know, to really reach any further comment on what their status is.
Thanks, guys.
All right.